I sat in my car, that autumn morning engine, still running, staring through the windshield at the building where I had spent 12 years of my life. Fallen leaves scattered across the parking lot like forgotten promises. In my hands I held an envelope containing documents that would change everything. My father's voice echoed in my memory. "You do not have what it takes to run this company, son." He said that to me countless times, but there was one thing my father never bothered to check. Before I walk into that building, let me tell you how I got here. But first, drop a comment and let me know where you are watching from today. If you have ever felt overlooked by your own family, hit that like button because this one is for you. And subscribe if you want to see how this ends. Trust me, they never saw it coming. Now let me take you back 12 years to the day I made the biggest mistake of my life. I trusted that blood meant loyalty. My name is Shane Whitmore, and my father Harold built Whitmore Industrial Tools from nothing. 38 years ago, he started in a small garage on the outskirts of Columbus, Ohio, with a welding torch, a dream, and about $200 to his name. By the time I was old enough to understand what he did, the company had grown into something substantial, high-quality industrial tools for the construction and manufacturing sectors. Last year alone, the company pulled in around $45 million in revenue with over 200 employees. My father was what people called a self-made man. He wore that title like a badge of honor, and honestly, he earned it. But being self-made came with a certain hardness. He believed that real men knew how to lead, knew how to command a room, knew how to talk their way through any situation. Quiet competence meant nothing to him. What mattered was presence. What mattered was confidence you could see from across the room. Then there was my brother Derek. 3 years older than me, tall, broad-shouldered, with this natural charm that made people want to follow him. Derek studied business administration, and by the time he turned 18, our father was already bringing him to client meetings, introducing him as my right hand. Derek knew how to shake hands firmly, how to laugh at the right moments, how to make investors feel like they were the most important people in the world. And then there was me, the quiet one, the one who would rather take apart an engine than attend a dinner party. From the time I was a kid, I was fascinated by how things worked. I remember being 7 years old, sitting on the garage floor dismantling an old radio just to see what was inside. My mother would find me surrounded by screws and wires, completely absorbed. My father would walk by and shake his head. Shane would rather talk to machines than people, he used to say. It was not a compliment. I remember being 10 years old, fixing the lawnmower that had been sitting broken in our shed for months. I figured out the problem, replaced a part using pieces from an old bicycle, and got it running again. When I showed my father, he glanced at it, nodded once, and then turned to Derek, who had just come home from a soccer game. 3 goals today, that is my boy. I stood there holding a wrench invisible. When I was 16, I designed a small tool attachment that made one of the repetitive tasks at my father's workshop significantly easier. I spent weeks on it, drawing blueprints, building prototypes in our garage. When I finally presented it to him, he used it. Every single day he used it. But he never once mentioned who made it. When clients asked about it, he would just shrug and say, "Something one of the guys put together." Despite everything, I went to Ohio State University and studied mechanical engineering. I graduated with the highest GPA in my department. Companies in California came calling with offers that would have set me up for life. But I turned them all down. I came back to Columbus. I came back to Whitmore Industrial Tools. Some part of me still believed that if I just worked hard enough, if I just proved myself enough, my father would finally see me. The first 3 years I was a junior engineer, lowest rung on the ladder despite having the Whitmore name. I did not complain. I showed up early, stayed late, often working until 10 at night while everyone else went home. I learned every machine in that factory, understood every process, identified inefficiencies that had been costing the company money for years. My father would introduce me to visiting clients with the same line every time. "This is Derek, my right hand. And that is Shane, he works in the back." I swallowed the bitterness and kept working. In my 4th year, everything changed. I redesigned our flagship product line from the ground up. The Power Grip series. Industrial pliers and wrenches that construction workers across the country depended on. My new design increased durability by 40% while reducing manufacturing costs by 25%. When we launched the redesigned line, sales exploded. The company had been struggling that year, losing market share to overseas competitors. My design saved us. That was when the company lawyer suggested something that would later become the most important decision of my life. Shane should file the patents under his personal name, he said during a meeting. It is cleaner for tax purposes, and it protects company assets in case of litigation. My father barely looked up from his phone. Fine, whatever. Just get it done. I did not think much of it at the time. It was just paperwork. I signed where they told me to sign, filed what they told me to file. 3 patents all in my name. Shane Michael Whitmore. Not Whitmore Industrial Tools. Mine. Over the next 8 years I kept innovating. The TorqueMaster system, a line of power tools that became our biggest seller, accounting for 40% of total revenue. Then the precision lock technology, a proprietary locking mechanism that competitors tried and failed to replicate. More patents, all in my name. By the time I had been there 12 years, products I designed accounted for 95% of everything the company sold. But to my father, I was still just Shane, who works in the back. The moment I realized nothing would ever change came during an annual review meeting. All the senior managers were there. My father stood at the head of the conference table, beaming with pride as he talked about the year's successes. Derek closed the Henderson deal, he announced, clapping my brother on the shoulder. That is my boy. That contract alone is worth $2 million over 5 years. Everyone applauded. Derek smiled, that perfect smile of his. Then it was my turn to present. I had been working on a new product line, something that could open up an entirely new market segment. I had the prototypes, the market research, the projected numbers. I stood up and began explaining the technical specifications, the manufacturing process, the potential return on investment. Halfway through my 3rd slide, my father cut me off. Yeah, we will look at it later. Derek, tell them about the marketing plan. I stood there, pointer in hand, words dying in my throat. Derek launched into his presentation without missing a beat. Nobody looked at me. Nobody acknowledged that I had been speaking at all. After the meeting ended, I stayed behind to gather my materials. The conference room had emptied out, but I could hear voices in the hallway. My father and Derek talking just outside the door. Your brother is smart with his hands, my father said, but he does not have the vision. He is not a leader, never will be. Good thing I have you. I stood frozen, a stack of papers pressed against my chest. 12 years. 12 years of early mornings and late nights. 12 years of innovations that saved the company of products, that built the company. And that was what I was worth. Smart with his hands. I drove home in silence that night. Amanda, my wife, took one look at my face when I walked through the door. Shane, what happened? You look like you have seen a ghost. Just tired, I told her. I lay awake until 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I had wasted my entire adult life trying to earn something that was never going to be given. 2 years passed. I kept my head down, kept working, kept pretending that conversation in the hallway had not shattered something inside me. Then my father turned 65 and his doctor told him it was time to slow down. His heart was not what it used to be. The stress was taking its toll. He called a family meeting at the house. Amanda and I sat on one side of the long dining table. Derek and his wife sat on the other. My mother hovered near the kitchen, silent as always, a ghost in her own home. My father sat at the head of the table, looking older than I had ever seen him. But his voice was still strong, still commanding. I have spent 38 years building this company from nothing, he began. Now it is time to pass the torch. My heart pounded. After everything, some foolish part of me still hoped. Still believed that maybe, just maybe, he had seen what I had done, what I had built. My father looked at Derek. Derek, you will be the new CEO. You have got the charisma, the connections, the vision this company needs. Derek nodded solemnly like he was accepting a sacred duty. His wife dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. Then my father turned to me. Shane, you will keep doing what you do best. The workshop is yours. The workshop. After 12 years of running, research and development, of creating every product that kept this company alive, I was being handed the workshop, like a consolation prize, like a pat on the head for a dog that had performed a decent trick. Under the table, Amanda grabbed my hand and squeezed hard. Dad, I heard myself say, can we talk about this? I have been here 12 years. I have, and you will be here 12 more, my father interrupted. In the workshop, where you belong. Derek leaned forward with that patronizing smile I had grown to despise. Come on, little brother. You hate meetings anyway, right? I could not speak, could not breathe. Amanda pulled me to my feet, made excuses, got us out of there. In the car, I sat behind the wheel without starting the engine. My hands were shaking. Shane, Amanda said softly. Say something, please. What is there to say? My voice sounded strange, hollow. He made his choice a long time ago. 3 months after Derek took over as CEO, everything I had built began to crumble. The first thing he did was slash the research and development budget by 60%. He called me into his new corner office, the one that used to be our father's, and delivered the news like he was doing me a favor. "We need to trim the fat," he said, leaning back in his leather chair. "R&D is eating too much budget. I am cutting your team from 5 to 2. I tried to explain that innovation was what kept us competitive, that without new products we would stagnate. Derek waved his hand dismissively. "We have got enough products. Focus on maintaining what we have." The second blow came a month later. Frank Brennan, who had worked at the company for 25 years, was let go. Frank was the only person in that entire building who had ever treated me with respect. He was the one who taught me how the factory floor actually worked, who defended my ideas in meetings when no one else would. I found him in the parking lot on his last day, loading a cardboard box into his truck. "Watch your back, son," Frank told me, his weathered face grim. "Your brother has got plans, and they do not include you." The third blow was the worst. Derek hired a chief innovation officer from outside the company, Jason Palmer. MBA from some prestigious school, zero technical experience, absolutely no understanding of what we actually made. And suddenly I was reporting to him. Every project had to go through Jason for approval. Every idea had to be filtered through someone who did not know the difference between a torque wrench and a screwdriver. I swallowed my pride one more time and went to Derek's office. "Derek, these products are my designs. I know them better than anyone in this building. You cannot just... We need fresh blood, Shane." Derek did not even look up from his computer. "Not family charity. Consider yourself lucky you still have a job." That was when I understood. Derek did not just want to run the company. He wanted to erase any trace of me from it. 8 months after Derek became CEO, I arrived at work on a Monday morning, same as always. I walked up to the entrance, pulled out my access card, and swiped. Red light. Access denied. I tried again. Red light.